Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Ken the Boderu.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
Right, so it's a start of a new day, and we are glad to have you on the show. We will kick off with today's newspaper review, and before diving into the main conversation of the day, yes, I know you don't want to miss that. You can join the conversation by dropping your comments, liking, and following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. So joining us to share the matters at hand is Barrister Evans Ufeli. You're welcome, sir. He's a
Good morning.
barrister and also a public affairs analyst. You're always welcome, sir.
Thank you. All right, so let's kick start today with the first daily on our desk from the Guardian newspaper. It is. We have big story. National Grid faces 5.6 trillion naira revenue loss as premium customers exit.
Okay, we have on the top strip, we have Sowore CSO push back as DSS asks X to delete anti-Tinubu tweet.
And also we have insecurity. Northern leaders demand state of emergency and sack of service chiefs.
Okay, still on the top strip, we have custom exempt $300 parcels from tax as cargo owners decry duty payment disruption.
And also army neutralizes 4 terrorists, arrest 64 suspects in nationwide operations.
Okay, we have parents ground as school resume, Imo outlaws some practices.
And also Leadway Holdings announces acquisition of PAL pension.
Okay, still
Yes.
on the Guardian newspaper, we have mayhem as thugs invade rally for Obi Roads Vivo in Lagos.
So let's get to the talking point from the Guardian newspaper, and it's on the Sowore case and the DSS. And I'd love to read some excerpts from that particular story. And just before I get to doing that, I have a caveat here. This is not the position of Enterprise Television. So what I am about to read is coming from what Sowore had stated, and I'd love to say it here. Controversial post read, "This criminal at official BAT actually went to Brazil to state that there is no more corruption under his regime in Nigeria. What audacity to lie shamelessly." Barrister Evans Ufeli, I'd love you to have your say on this, especially citing Nigeria's law, according to the DSS, that Sowore's tweet violated Section 51 of the Criminal Code Act, Section 19, 22, and 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act of 2025, as well as provisions of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022. It maintained, that is the DSS, that both the author and the platform, that is X, could be held criminally liable. Speak to us.
Yes, this is a statement coming from the DSS. I mean, to the fact that the statement made were seditious, or that the statement made by Sowore flouted certain criminal laws of the country, namely the Cybercrime Act,
Yes.
the Terrorism Prevention Act, and some other subsidiary legislations. Now, this expression, they are all subject to proof and evidence. I know that it is wrong to make statements, overwhelming, sweeping statements of that are seditious against a country or against a nation. Then you incite, such statement can incite people. Okay, such statement can also bring a country to disrepute. Given that the platform under which it was shared is a platform, a global platform.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter is practically all over, apart from Asia and which other continent? One other continent. It's practically everywhere. Okay, so Sowore went to the extreme. For me, I would advise that such statements are not made in times like this. Nigeria is going through a lot. Nigeria is going through a lot of challenges, from economic challenges to corruption challenges and the rest of that. That's on the one side. But if there's any probe into the assertion or into the state of things in Nigeria, and it turned out that corruption still persists, and it turned out that what the president went to say was falsehood, it becomes fair comment.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the truth. You see, analysis like this must be balanced. As much as I vilify Showore for making such a statement, as much as I think that such statement exposes the Nigerian state to ridicule and disrepute, as much as all those is granted, that citizens must come under certain kind of behavior, all this put together is not just level against citizens. Conversely, leaders of countries, people who lead country, president, ministers, legislators, wherever you find yourself, you have opportunity to address Nigerians in diaspora. You owe it a duty to the people in Nigeria to tell them the truth. You must say the truth. I'm not saying the president had lied or whatsoever, but I implore the DSS or the law enforcement agencies or the court or whosoever should do a proper investigation as to the existence or otherwise of corruption in Nigeria. Is there still corruption in Nigeria? Has corruption disappeared? If corruption had disappeared, that means Shole was malicious. He was saying the wrong thing.
But no country would love to watch its dirty learning outside.
You know exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Defamation, sedition, and all that. You can hold somebody liable and responsible to the extent at which the statement made is falsehood or true. You understand? Someone who defames another and it turns out that the statement he made were true, or they can fall under justification. You cannot take the person too far. But if it turns out that such statements were false, and you are making a statement to clarify that, or you are saying that this is saying is false, I mean, you can. I think that the DSS should look at this matter very deeply before they indulge in taking the platform X to scrutiny. Okay, they should not continue to look at the president as the president of the country, that everybody must all be subservient to his whims and caprices, even when he's not doing the right thing or not saying the right thing. Because in Nigeria and Africa, once you are rich, once you are influential, anything you say is true. I'm telling you, you see people laughing and falling on top themselves. Even when what you are saying is wrong and untrue, they'll be happy as long as you are president. I mean, you can change their lives and the rest of them. But can we get one or two objective persons who will look at this issue under reference and say that, the president said this thing, let's go and research, is there still corruption truly or not? Because when he said it, a lot of people, not just Shore, it's just that Shore developed the balls to cross. He's the one I can say. Many people were looking at ourselves and looking at our back like that. This thing has ended and we are not aware. We are not aware. It was this thing that they went to. So for me, I will implore the president to stay away from controversial expressions that he knows are false, but he keeps on those statements. Yes, I will talk to the president. I don't have time for sugarcoating anything because I don't even know what I'm living for as I speak now. So, president should stay away from this controversial statement that if they are brought under scrutiny, they will not stand the test of truthfulness. Should stop it. Focus on the economy. The duty of the president is to create an enabling environment with institutions of government such that the citizens, institutions, and persons are able to live prosperous. That's his job. That's his job. If you look at section 14.3 of the Constitution, that's his job, to ensure that that happens. And how do you make that happen? It's by putting things in place to ensure that, and it's also by inspiring the citizens. Yes. Sometimes it is by inspiring the citizens. You know, in ancient room, it talked about Marcus Aurelius, the only king that led Rome for 14 years without war. It was said that when the generals and the soldiers in those days, okay, were to go on assignment, external assignment, all Marcus Aurelius need to do is to address them for 10 minutes. So address them for 10 minutes. And once he speaks for 10 minutes, whatever engagement or assignment is already won at that point where he's talking to them, because they are fired up and they are ready to undertake anything. That's leadership.
That's leadership.
Leadership must inspire the citizens. Most importantly, leadership must define the direction of the country. Every speech, every comment, every travel, every assignment outside the countries with Nigerians in diaspora or otherwise must be geared towards moving Nigeria from point A to point B. Okay. So, but when we are scattered this way in our thoughts and statements are made and they are false, or they turn out to be false, or they are suspected to be false, you are going to have citizens, non-state actors, who will want to debunk some of these statements. Yeah. And so it's important that we know exactly what we are doing.
All right.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Very well said. But with all of these, how can civil society protect digital rights, in Nigeria?
Especially coming from what we faced with X during Muhammad Buhari, the closure of X at that point.
Yes. Yeah. For so long a time. These days, once you criticize the government, the next thing they'll do is to go after you using the Cybercrime Act, quoting terrorism, Cybercrime Act, and the rest of that. There's now what we call domestic terrorism. Now, when you make expressions, seditious expressions against an ethnic group and the rest of that. So, first of all, the Constitution, the grand norm, defines freedom of speech. Okay? Freedom of speech is as free as it can be as long as the person making the speech is not involved in falsehood. It's not casting aspersions at persons or institutions or dragging them to disrepute using falsehood. You understand? That's what freedom is. But when it goes outside that, that's when you can bring in digital, cyber, whatever it is, and all that. So expressions like this must come under scrutiny. It is not the responsibility of the law enforcement agency to say what cyberbullying is, or to term any expression as falling short of law or falling short of expectation that the law should sanction. It is the court that can say that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they can make allegations. They can charge anyone or any person or institution and frame all kinds of charges. That is one. But whether or not these charges can be proven to meet the elements of that offense is another thing entirely. So, for the law enforcement agency, they can talk about they can tell you that even this expression we're having this morning they can call it anything. They can call it cyber, whatever it is.
Or inciting public.
Yes, inciting public or whatsoever. Yes, but the court of law is the institution that have the authority to state whether this, what we're doing, is against the law or not. But in Nigeria, the problem we face is that the law enforcement agencies, because they come with so much power of coercion, before you get to court, they would have dealt with you mercilessly by arrest, sometimes forceful arrest, abduction, torture, all manner of, before the court even gets to hear you, you have been so brutalized. You have even, what you have gone through might even be more than the punishment meant for that crime.
You're right, sir.
Okay?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you are fatally treated. So that is where we need to work on our system to ensure that people are not mercilessly dealt with when investigation, evidence have not proven that they are truly guilty of an offense or liable of an offense.
All right, so let's continue to watch and see what would happen going forward if X would hit to the cry, the proposition of the DSS on that particular matter. I doubt they would. I doubt they would. Though they have a physical office in Nigeria.
Yes.
Let's see how that goes, though. It's a developing story. But let's get to the big story still on the Guardian newspaper. National Grid faces 5.6 trillion revenue loss as premium customers. Churches, industries, industries, and so. What do you think is the avalanche effect of this to the power sector when everyone is going autonomous?
Yeah, power has been democratized. There's a law that allows it. And a lot of people have been waiting for that law. And now we have the law. As it is now, a street can generate power and sell to the next street. So but it's just unfortunate that the Attorney General of the states, different states of it, have not come with the legal frameworks to have this distribution. There's nothing wrong in it. There's nowhere in the world where you jack everybody under power, under national grid. The last time that you had countries or nation that everybody jacked under power grid is when you used to have the population of the human society was very low. Where you used to have a whole city fenced against external aggression and all that. Everybody is powered. That is, Nigeria is 200 million people. Okay, you know, we said this thing before, that as long as we have refused to abide by the tenets and principles of federalism, that our population explosion will force us into federalism. Yes.
By
we
default.
would decentralize by force. Yes. Because, I mean, putting 200 million people in one basket, calling it national grid. How many, last year, the national grid failed how many times?
Severally.
It has to be collapsed. It will collapse. You know why? Because of the load on it. It cannot carry that much. The facilities cannot even withstand the population. So even if you change the national grid and bring brand new facility, completely overhaul it, how long is it going to stay before it collapses again? Our population is growing by geometric progression. The economy is growing by arithmetic progression. And that is chaos. So democracy or the democratization of electricity or power will become inevitable by virtue of our population. And that's what's going on now, because there are villages where you can actually build a mini solar grid that will power a whole village. You can do that, depending on the population and the size of the village.
And step away from the national grid.
Yes,
totally.
And pull out from national grid totally. Then you can now decide how you want to, how you want the power to run, how you want to, what kind of timetable you want to give it for sustainability. You understand? So all over the world, people are supposed to be connected to power based on their environment. The idiosyncrasies or the whims and caprices of the environment should determine what kind of power resources there can be. Where you have water, you use water. Where you have wind, you use wind. Where you have high sunlight, we have huge, serious sunlight in Nigeria that we just waste. It just is a natural resource. You don't need to go and power the sun. You don't need to go and power the river or do whatsoever. You just have gadgets that you expose to this natural condiment and you generate power from it, and then it's cheaper. And then it will be better managed, and people will have, and you can also link it to green energy.
But do you see a Nigerian
Clean
government?
energy.
Do you see a Nigerian government that might sabotage all of these things? Because the last 2 months, it started going through a legislation to stop importation of solar panels to Nigeria, citing that there is an industry doing that, because of course we know how it works in Nigeria. You know, so do you see a government that might sabotage all of this, knowing that the money it has invested in both discos and all others might really not be something they would see at the end of the day?
But we cannot rely on hydro power supply for the whole of the rest of our lives. I've not seen the bill Okay, but I know that such bill will come with a lot of contention. It will come with a lot of contention. I doubt if it will pass. I doubt, because the reason I say I doubt, our politicians can be very greedy, they can be sometimes hopeless. But when it comes to a general issue like electrification have a way of forcing you to say the truth. Because darkness is darkness. We cannot, it has no remedy. It has no remedy. You can say, provide medical care for this village and that village and that village. You can write report and say you have provided the medical care, you did not do anything. People in the village will not die. You understand? They will still be okay. But when you say that there's darkness in a village, you cannot go and write a report now that there's light. Because once night falls, you will see the darkness.
Exactly.
So there are things that cannot easily pass. There are things that will not pass. Okay. I heard that story, I read that story, and I was wondering, why should anyone encourage a bill to stop the importation of solar panels? Why? When the entire world, they're looking at how to build stronger, better, effective, sustainable solar panels for power generation. The world has since left hydro. Hydro is the earliest form, from coal to hydro. These are the earliest form of power generation. And they are now obsolete because human society has grown, science has grown. There's AI now. Okay, there's so many areas that science have broken through, for which you now need different kind of innovations to, have society comfortable. And so it will never pass the test of time, even if there's any bill that exists to that effect.
All right. Yes, you have any?
Yeah, based on what Barrister said about, he said right now we have, a person can actually take up a village, like just to power the village. So, sir, if, for instance, now you go to, you're from Delta State, and you decide to power a particular village, like a full village, and then, sir, with that, is it that you've been able to own that, yes, you have you are the owner of the power, so is it that it is private owned already, like you are the one, how do I put it, you are the one in charge? And do you think maybe if the government, for instance, or if the government are aware, will they take that, like will they,
No,
just like what you're saying, will they sabotage?
No. What government, the only government concern is the impact assessment.
Okay.
Environmental impact assessment. There's, if you are building, whether house, solar, whatever, Genco, whatever it is, anything you are building, you must look into the Environmental Impact Assessment Act, which you must ensure that you don't breach any of the law for the environment, of the environment. So that is only what you need. In this case, if we are forward thinking, if we are thinking proper, no one should oppose the issue of solar energy and solar energy resources. Solar energy resources will not usurp hydro power generation completely. You understand? Solar power generation should complement hydro energy. So don't get greedy about it. Okay? There can be a legislation to say that the hydro will give power for 12 hours. Solar will take over from that 12 hours. That's an effective way to go about it. That way, too much energy is not placed on hydro. And too much energy is not placed on solar. So they now share and complement. That way you can have 24 hours supply. Okay? So you are not solely on solar. You are solely on solar every day. The panels will weaken. With the passage of time, you have to replace it. You understand? But now if you have 12 hours hydro, you have another 12 hours solar. Is it not a better deal? Okay, then that will also help the environment. Okay? That will also help both the hydro and the solar system to have a period of rest of 12 hours and work for only 12 hours. So one takes over from the other in 12 hours interval. Is that not a forward way to go about it? So there's no point trying to stop one for the other to progress. We can have both running pari passu and have an economy that works.
All right, beautiful. So just before we will leave for this particular segment, I know this is not part of our newspapers because it's a trending matter, and I think it's very important that we talk about it, Barrister. And this is the issue of Sojimoto versus Enugu State government.
Yes.
And the Enugu State government is accusing Sojimoto of a premeditated fraud. Now, the case, of course, would end up in courts, and I would love to have your expert advice on that. Lots of people have blamed the Sojimoto for lack of corporate governance, a one-man show thing, and that's the reason he's gotten himself burnt so severally in the course of his business.
So I think that the Enugu State government awarded a contract to him. That's from the report I read, and for some reasons, the contract had not been implemented based on the agreement and the whatever it is there. So, but Sojimoto himself have a defense because he's also talking about some things which may have prevented the. But the fact is that it's not enough to push forth allegations. It's not enough. Allegations must come with evidence.
On whose side now?
Both sides.
Okay.
Yes, both sides. Yes, I mean, a contract, award of a contract is the consensus at idem of both parties. In law, once a consensus at idem, the meeting of mind of both parties in a contract in terms of an agreement. Okay. Now, if any of the parties in that agreement have breached any of the terms of the agreement, they'll subject it to litigation or to bring the matter before a court of law for resolution. Okay? So the question of fraud is an allegation. It's an allegation. No courts have confirmed whether truly there was premeditated fraud or whatsoever it is. I mean...
So if someone absconds out of a project site, it's not premeditated fraud?
What you call premeditated fraud? Every fraud is premeditated, if truly it's a fraud. Because intention is what you are looking at. Okay, the intention outrightly was it to defraud. Okay, so when you have fraud, you have to look at intention. Intention is very critical here. In law, we call it the mens rea. Okay, we have the actus reus and the mens rea. Now, you have to evaluate both, and you must be able to establish both before you can actually convict a defendant. Okay, and then the actus reus means the physical act that okay he absconded as a physical act. He's nowhere to be found. But you have to look at the mens rea, the mental act, his intention. Was his intention deliberate? Was it premeditated? Did he enter this contract with the sole aim of disappearance? Never to return. So you have to establish both before you can convict. But if you establish one, you cannot convict. Yes, if factors, okay, militating against the contract or certain things may have obviated his capacity to perform, then you cannot hold him to. If, for example, an act of God.
Okay.
In law, what we call an act of God is this.
I want you to use the building issue as an example.
Yes. The building issue. An act of God is, for example, both of us were discussing about the issue of painting a building, for example. Okay. As at the time we're entering that contract to paint that building had been destroyed by thunderstorm. We didn't know. I went ahead and signed the papers. You cannot hold the defendant or the other party responsible for that contract if it's unable to do it. Because what it's supposed to do does not exist any longer.
Okay.
In law, we call it mutual mistake, where both parties are making a mistake on the existence of the subject matter of a contract. Mutual mistake. Now, we have also unilateral mistake, where it is one person that is making a mistake. Okay, you're asking me to go and paint a particular building, and we are describing it, and you have described and described all that. But I was relating to you believing it's that building, whereas it's another building.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And then when I got to that building, I could not paint because that building had not been plastered.
Oh, okay.
The one I thought we were discussing. So you will not be able to get me because there's unilateral mistake. One person is mistaken for the other. You understand? So, but the law is that if the intention is, because the truth is, from examination, cross-examination, re-examination, you can actually pull out the intent of parties in a case. The court can pull out. The court can just, by listening to both sides, decipher the intendment of parties to the contract, who acted in bad faith. Okay, yes, who acted in good faith but was mistaken. Both parties acted in good faith but they were both mistaken. So, mistake and the law of contract is the most litigated angle of law all over the world. You understand? I remember then in university we were discussing the law of contract. You could be on one principle of law and they are citing over 10, 12 cases on just one principle of law.
Wow.
You understand? You see the high treat case. The high treat case. You have a Kali versus Carbolic small ball industry. Those are issues of contract. There are so many cases that at the end of the day, that is why when you're able to pass that course, really, you truly understand what law is saying in a manner of speaking. And so that is what it is. In this particular contract, they will bring all actions and inactions of party under legal scrutiny. Yes. And from there, you'll be able to decipher exactly what has happened. Because it will be hasty by way of analysis to say that there was fraud.
Okay.
Or that there was no fraud. Okay. Or that it's because he does things alone, or because the Enugu state government were not pragmatic, the contract was not properly investigated, the act, and it's too early. It's too early. Once there is an alarm like this as to someone has done something wrong, I implore the Nigerian society to be patient, to get to know the root causes of what has happened. There's cause and effect in everything you see. You understand? And there's cause and effect. So let's allow this to go through the legal system, if they're taken through the legal system or they're settling out of court or whatsoever. From there, we can find out truly who did what, when, and how.
Very true. There's so much to learn actually from this particular case. I'm very much interested in it because lots of give and take here. So Jumoto has stated that inflation actually caused the whole issue. A project he was supposed to run for 2 years, went over to 5 years. Cement, as at the time it was awarded the contract, was 7,000. Today cement is 10,000. Well,
he also know what to do. There's what they call variation in contracting. When you are awarded a contract and funds were not released as at when the contract was awarded, and funds were released in later dates, and at the time funds were being released, the cost of materials have taken a new dimension. You brief your lawyer to write for variation, and then meticulously you state what and what has changed as at the time the contract was entered into, and in the contract there must be a clause there stating that if there is a delay in the resources and there is a change in the market prices of things, building materials and the rest of that, there should be a variation to cushion the effect of those changes made. And such variation should be at so percent if the price of things jump to so percent.
Now I know why people blamed him, actually, because they said all of the things you just stated were things he didn't actually take into cognizance. It was more like a paddy thing, according to his testimonial, that the governor begged him, literally begged him, finish this one, there's no money in it, but there's more money in the one I would give you in the future. So those are some of the things that...
Whenever you are presented with things like that, and you are experiencing business, you take your lawyer to put that thing down that the governor just said. Finish this one, there's no money in this one. I will give you this one. Put it in the contract so that the governor will be bound by it. Okay, because this one is saying now, if it's not in any document, it can be denied.
Yes.
Cannot say, I didn't tell you I'm giving you anything. The one I gave you have not done it. How would I have said I will give you another one when the one I gave you have not done it? So we shouldn't do things based on paddy. It kills business. Even if it's your brother, put it in writing. In case you are no longer there when the matter will be before a third party. A third party will act on based on what people agreed on. And what you agreed on should not be oral. It should be in writing, okay? Because you cannot, most times, you cannot enforce your contracts that you enter in by parole. A contract by parole is a contract entered into by words of mouth. And so, at the end of the day, you will not be able to defend it, especially when you are no longer there. And then your, what do you call it? Your successors or agents will not be able to defend whatever it is you guys did.
All right.
The contract is more like a reference.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a developing story, and we will, of course, unfold them as they make happen. Barrister will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return nationwide.
People, the elections are around the corner. Before you know it, it will be 2027. But before then, for you to partake in the election, you must have your voter's card. And for you to have your voter's card, you must register. INEC has rolled out the drums. We call this program Continuous Voters Registration. And it is for you to register. This is to do that if you want to vote. And it's important that you take part in the process of voting. Just go there, give them your name and your address. That's all. And of course, they will capture you, take your picture, and that's all. You are done. Within 5 minutes, you are done. And after that, when the time comes, they call it claims and objection time. That's when you look at it. They will paste all the results or the names of those that have registered all over the places. You will go to the place you register, check your name that is well spelled, and the information you've given them correct. And that's all. After some time again, they will tell you that your voter's card is ready. You go and pick it. That is all. Be a good Nigerian citizen. Partake in the process, because it's a duty imposed on you by Section 23 of the 1999 Constitution as a good citizen. And you will be better off by voting, because you have your mind that, yes, you voted right. I'm Wale Ogunade, constitutional lawyer, human rights activist, and President, Voters Awareness Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for being back, and this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our main conversation for this morning. The federal government, through the Minister of Labour and Employment, has called for an emergency meeting with the management of the Dangote Group and the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas.
if the grievances raised by Nupeng and the NLC are not addressed promptly.
All right, so let's get talking. We still have with us Barrister Vansofeli. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for hanging on.
Very well.
All right, so let's get to the remote cause of all of this. We all know where it's coming from. Dangote is bringing in 4,000 trucks, CNG-powered trucks, that would help him deliver products to different sectors and of the country, that is, which of course would affect Nupeng operations. Now, how do we distill when people are patriotic to the country and when people are using the country for their own benefits?
There's no patriotism here.
With who now? With Dangote or the Nupeng?
With the Nupeng.
Okay.
Because this is capitalism at war with and for the fact that there have not been scarcity for the past 2 years now, it's commendable. But look at what is going on right now. Sometimes people who do business should try as much as possible to be discreet. Dangote have no business announcing to the world that is bringing the CNG truck all over the place. What's it for? Is it for, is it a state policy? Is it what? If you are bringing 200 and something CNG, bring it in secretly. When you know that you have a lot of, what do you call it, competitors who want to cash on the information you are providing for society to levy hardship on society, should be discreet.
4,000 trucks is not discreet. It's obvious. It's a village full of trucks that can even be viewed from the space.
It can be viewed from anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you don't tell somebody that they are CNG, would they know? They are normal truck. A truck is a truck. You can't tell a diesel truck from the CNG truck. You can't tell. You need not know. To do this is what you are doing so that Nupeng will start to clap for you.
But it's not answerable to anyone.
Yeah, I know it's not answerable to anyone, but I'm looking at the society that will suffer the brunt of the war of capitalism. Capitalism have no soul. The only thing capitalism understands is profit. Whether people are dying, they are waking up, they are sick, they are not sick, capitalism have no emotions. That's what is going on now. Okay, look at how they're about to disrupt this. Because, you see, the reason we are complaining bitterly about the cost of fueling our vehicles and our homes and all that is even because there's no shortage. It's because there's demand.
Yes.
You understand? And there's supply. If anything happened to one of those factors, that's a natural tendency. You understand? So we should manage as much as possible demand and supply. When we have a free flow of supply and demand is complementary or is at par with supply, we should just allow it to keep going. Anything that will make us to have problem with supply and the rest of that, we should stay away from. You know why? Because our population is heavy. We have a heavy population. One day shutdown of supply can affect the nation in the next 1 month.
Yeah. True.
You understand? Because Nigeria have heavy logistics. We operate on a lot of people. Over 70% of persons in Nigeria will not be able to eat if they do not go to work a day. Remember, how many of us have less than 500,000 naira in our account? Almost the entire population have less than.
Yes.
You understand? That is a pointer to the fact that this is a fragile economy. Yes, it's an economy that have no disposable income in the hands of people. Hardly will you find citizens who have money in their pockets that have not been covered by one need or the other. In those days, we used to have money. There's nothing to actually buy. We purchase everything, and we have some money
left.
So that's disposable. You can use it for any whatever. Today, people hardly have such kind of resources. Any money in their hand has been spent already, either by debt, by school fees, by something. Something has gobbled it off before you even arrive in the first place. So if we are going to, because Nupeng, Dangote, and the rest of that, those are elite members of society who are invariably middle class, sub-middle class. Because there's no middle class. What we have is sub-middle class and the proletariats, the lowest cadre of society, where the masses belong.
Yeah.
Those are the people. So at the end of the day, we're going to create problem for a larger number of persons if we go that route.
Okay, very well. So speaking of that, now many Nigerians fear that a nationwide strike could trigger, obviously could trigger for shortages and economic paralysis. So what short-term and long-term impact should the public prepare for if the strike occur?
If the strike occur, of course, people should, I don't want to encourage panic buying and some kind of, but in a way, people should take care of themselves as they deem it fit. And because this is not even the real war. This one is not the real war is 1st of January next year, where we're not going to be paying 5% on petroleum products tax. Okay, that one's going to need to national. Yeah, there will be. I mean, there will be protests.
Yes.
I know that. So, whether Nigeria is ripe enough to implement that law, because it's already a law.
Yeah,
It's already a law. But the fact that you have a law, it's not a guarantee that you must implement it. You can allow your law to be followed, especially when you have a law that will work against the people's interests. You understand?
Yeah.
So you cannot say because you have a law, therefore there's a law now, we're past it. It went through this, it went through, even during the public hearing. I didn't go for that public hearing, by the way, the one for the new tax regime.
Yes.
I didn't go for that public hearing, but on the article I wrote, the only place where I disagree with the new tax regime was on that 5%. Because I felt that if this administration took off subsidy was this whole money going to these persons, and sometimes it's not really giving us what we desire, and we're spending trillions. If you are removing it, and after 2 years, you are now introducing petroleum tax, what have you done? Because during the subsidy government pay part of the petroleum funds so that citizens can buy it at a cheaper price. So the citizens are gaining.
Yes.
You are not taking anything from the citizens. Now, if you stop that, and then price now rose, then after 2 years, the price have risen, the citizens are paying more. After 2 years, you now introduce 5% tax on it. So not only that the citizens are paying more, the citizens are being taxed again
for the same product.
on the same product. So you see that in itself is an anathema. It's not. So I decor. I don't think is the right thing to do, because sense, because at the end of the day, not all of us are driving cars.
Yeah.
You have failed to give us 24-hour power supply. That's why we are buying generators. And also because of that small fuel we want to go and buy to put in our generator, that is the offense now that we're paying 5% on, because we own our generator and pollute the environment. So I do not think it's a rational way. If you go all over the world where it has been suggested or where it has been introduced, it has never worked. It has always led to protests. You understand? Was suggested in Brazil, was debated in the House and thrown out in other countries and all that. So the petroleum tax, because when the president says we're going to widen the tax net and ensure that it reduces purchasing power, and he was saying all this, we're wondering that why are you reducing? Why are you reducing purchasing? Why are you reducing? And that's what he has done. With the subsidy, he reduced purchasing power because there's no disposable income, and now he's widening the tax net really, because if you introduce this, and then it is implemented, many persons have been drawn. The tax net have been widened, and the unfortunate thing about our government is that even when they succeed in collecting that 5%, they will not implement it on the environment.
Exactly. Very true.
They will not, because the government is the highest polluter of the environment. Over the weekend, the president's wife came to Lagos.
Yeah.
Did you count the jeeps? There were 60 or thereabouts.
In fact, they were just, when I saw this, I was like,
she's polluting the environment. She's polluting the environment. They are the ones polluting the environment. So that 5%, they should be the one paying it. That's how I see it. I don't have 60 cars. I don't need it. I don't have 60 cars. So government, they are the ones polluting the environment. And so they should not be looking at, because every time they just turn around and look at the people. They don't look at themselves, what they are doing to the environment. So that 5% for me is a no. I don't think that thing should be implemented in January 2027. I don't think so. The politics of this kind of operation, they should understand that the politics market is changing. There are new parties, there are collaborations, and there are so many conversations going on, especially now that they have not really performed. And so people are looking for alternative. This is not the time when you come and be introducing tax and different kind of tax to make the people do more. It's not acceptable.
All right, Barrister, let's get back to the Dangote and Nupeng issue, and let's talk about capitalism yet again. Capitalism is that love mate that you hate but you cannot do without. It is pivotal to most economies around the world. It's not immune to us alone. The United States of America, for example, is like Walmart becoming angry over Amazon, or NASA being angry because of SpaceX. So I don't know why we should be angry, or the Nupeng and Nigerian Labour Congress should be angry because Dangote is bringing in 4,000 trucks that would help his products. But remember, the Nupeng has said they would not want to buy his product. They prefer to import. And he said, okay, since you have the logistics to distribute these things, no problem. Keep logistics to yourselves. I'll bring in my 4,000 trucks and help my products get to every nook and cranny of Nigeria. How is that a bad issue? It is still good for us. So don't you think, like the Walmart that won't go against Amazon, the Nupeng will say, okay, how can we even come to the party?
I think the Nigerian government should enact new trade laws. Okay? Yes.
Exactly.
So there must be a law that will guide against malice, because it shouldn't be that you must take a particular decision irrespective of how the general masses feel about it. Whatever decision you are taking that will punish the society or that will put people in jeopardy, we should have a law that should not allow it. Yes, so that when they try to do that, we're able to use that law to regulate them. Because I've not seen anything wrong that Dangote have done in this case, in this whole thing, that they are now claiming that there are some other unresolved issue with government. That's what they said. They didn't mention them.
Yes.
What is the issue if not for Dangote? This thing that Dangote said now. You don't remember those ones since. So just because Dangote is in now, you are now saying there are some issue with government. Which issue with government? And so the NLC, for me, is not what it used to be again. The NLC, yes. The NLC should be against this kind of trade war. Because the people look up to it. It's the NLC that will not be able to even buy, their members that will not be able. When it starts before it abates. You understand? So, NLC for me, because they approach you, Nupeng approached you and told you that this is what is going on, you should be able to interrogate that issue very well. Have meetings. And say, this thing you are doing, is it the way out really? NLC should not be taking side. Yes, they should not take side. What's different between Dangote and Nupeng? Are they not both own Nigerians? Are they not both? I understand what these people are doing. Because at the end of the day, we are going to be faced with so much. The elite will still get whatever they want to get. You understand? Many of them even travel abroad before you start your problem. Many of them, if you put the resources in any amount, they can buy it. You understand? And just get along with their lives. So it's still the poor that will be struggling in the mix of all this. So I'm happy that they're having a meeting. I think the meeting have started already.
Today,
yes,
Monday.
They are in a meeting right now. It is my prayer that some of the things we are discussing here, if they are listening, they should put them into consideration in that meeting. So that by the end of today, we should be able to have a resolution that will promote the progress of Nigeria. It shouldn't be malice. It shouldn't be about... Because it all ends in a box. That is the title of a book. Yeah. Everybody will die. All these things you are trying to do so that you can make money and make all these things, it all ends in a box. They just wrap up the person someday into one this and later. So whatever we're doing, we should be accountable and be stewards to humanity. That's our first point of call. Whatever will benefit humanity should be what we should do, not what we put people into problem and all that.
So do you think these people even have the mind to even put us in their hands, like they still have that sense of responsibility, you know, catering for we the masses? Because I've come to realize that even in this country that people just work for their own pockets. Yes, we're trying to, you know, make ends meet and all of that, but then I've come to realize that some persons, like especially those in power, just they just want to work for themselves, gather the money, generational wealth, and it goes on and on and on without putting the masses.
That is what we're saying, that capitalism at some point should honor humanity. You understand? I was reading about Michael Jordan just a few days ago. Michael Jordan had all the resources that he has. In fact, the report said that he had few clothes, just few cars, and almost 90% of his wealth, he just took them over last month and gave to charity, everything. So much money. In fact, if it were not that, there were even people were saying, they should tax that money. You're giving to charity. Should you tax it? Capitalism says you should tax it. But no, he's giving it to charity. You understand? So these were funds that he earned by endorsements, by the capitalism, the field of capitalism. But you see how he's taking it and transmitting it to humanity. So before Adam Smith developed the capitalism idea, there was humanity. There was humanity. We should be able to bow to the cause of humanity. Don't just follow that theory that everything is about profit. Make profit, profit, profit. How long? How long will you go with profit if profit is the only thing you know and you talk about? This profit is meant for the larger society. If you have grown in business to the point where you've taken care of all your needs, the next thing you do is to give back to society.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You give back. There are people who have not even taken care of their own needs, they are giving back to society. You understand? So I think that sometimes, I don't think that some of these institutions will demonize. I won't doing better than most of these institutions that pretend to be working for humanity.
Yeah.
Take Illuminati, for example. Look at the kind of resources they give to charity. And we demonize them. They are the devil. Many of them will get to heaven before you.
Very well.
It's about, I mean, you watch some of their clips on Instagram and you see what they are doing to the world in general, even though they look so weird and the rest of them.
The Freemasons and all.
Yes, and all that. So let's reconsider our steps in this country. Nigeria needs a lot of help. We don't need to disrupt the economy, the energy resources, and all these threats. Threat of we shouldn't be violent people. We should not be threatening the ecosystem with pain. It benefits no one when we are all put in pain. So that's my shot on that.
All right, we have to leave it at this particular point. We just sincerely hope that the president, who is equally, who doubles as the substantial minister of petroleum resources, would come to help the matters. I do not know if he's even involved or he's been briefed of some of these things. As a substantial minister of petroleum resources, he should be ahead of the curve